Yes, welcome to this edition of Off Script, and I have to say that my friend and colleague Tim Cahill is handling the heat a lot better than me. Why do you think that is, Tim?
I think this is Aussie weather. It's good for the cricket.
Yeah, we're not talking about the cricket today. Now, I am actually struggling to call him Tim because we go back a long way, and he's always been known to me as 11 Arif. Now, you blame, who do you blame for this? Phil Neville?
Phil Neville. I'm 11 Arif and he's 12 Arif.
The story goes, they always try to used to outdo each other. And Phil said to me, if you've bought a watch, he's got a bigger one. If you buy a car, he's got a fast one. If you've been to Tenerife, he's been to 11 Arif.
Isn't the story the other way around?
Not the way he tells it.
So anyway, you're 13 Arif, so you've not really telling the full story.
How much fondness do you have when you look back to your Everton days?
For me, it's amazing because it's a club that helped put me on the map in the Premier League. Give me my opportunity, Bill Kenwright, David Moyes. And it was at a time when they signed me. 2 days I'm in the club, 2 days later, Wayne Rooney's off to Man United. And there was a bit of fanfare there. And it was probably one of the best years we had in David Moyes' reigns.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you about in particular is you were, no question, one of the best exponents of the art of heading the ball. You scored over 50 Premier League goals, and over half of them were headers. You're not the tallest guy in the world. What does it take to be a good header of the ball?
I think firstly his technique, his training.
I'm going in the shade.
Oh, yeah. I think firstly his training, his techniques. Making sure that you can head a ball cleanly. The main things now with me going into coaching is speaking to younger kids, is the goal never moves. And you find chemistry between players. So I had Hibbo, Mikel Arteta, and I had Bainesy and Pienaar. So whether the movement was control, set, cross, I knew that the percentages of a cross from the second half of the goal to the back post was more percentages for me. You never really see me go near post because the percentages of it going over my head. The other thing as well is timing of run. Mm-hmm. And running off the shoulder of the weaker defender that's playing as a 6 in the midfield. So before every game, analysis was important, that I knew who the weakest centre-back was. Who was, couldn't turn off his left shoulder better than he could his right. Or playing on the left back, whether it be, maybe Ashley Cole or Ivanovic on the other side. I'll pick Ashley Cole as the set. So little things in the game, I think you have to go into all the detail of then being smart enough to use your power tool, which was heading. But I had a high fitness calibre that I would keep making the run into the box and a lot of goals would be scored late on.
You also had a fantastic spring. How did you get that? I know they used to call you the blue kangaroo, but how did you get that spring? Is that something you worked on?
Yep, plyometrics is something that's big when you work within a football club. And I think, working in the gym, working on your legs, not only the upper body, understanding, that training in all elements, not only being explosive. I wasn't the quickest. I wasn't someone that shot outside the box, but what I did is I played to my strengths. I had good chemistry with my players, and I always worked on defence first with my heading abilities, whether I'll be the main man at the front post, so they had to miss me out to get any sort of chance, which was a big thing defensively. I was in the line with, whether it was Distan, Fellaini, Jagielka, all these players, Carsley, that I was one of the main men that got the... there's only one ball. So if you're zonal, just go and attack the ball and win the header. So if there's two of you that could do that, then that would be the element of that.
We saw Manchester City at the weekend concede a goal. Did you like playing against zonal marking? Or
I like being marked.
You preferred man-to-man?
Yeah, I like being marked because that defender can only watch the ball. So for me, I like to feel the player as in up against me. And when he wrapped his arms around me, I like to pull his arms down, release with just an arm like this, and then the movement. So you see Tammy Abraham's movement, it's not just one, it's like a away, then forward. So all movements are just quick instincts. And I feel if it's zonal, then I'll just stand still. And then everyone would run, and then they'll, get caught in the melee. So for me, you have to play the elements. But I like being marked because then that meant it was a physical battle between me and you, and 9 times out of 10, you're watching the ball, and I'll back myself.
Who do you like now in the Premier League? Who do you admire in terms of being Who are your top 2 headers of the ball in the Premier League?
That's a big question. You know,
Well, has the art of it gone a little bit, do you think? Is there less? Is it?
I think when you look at styles of play, I think you look at philosophies and the way people play. If you look at the way Manchester City play, it's runs in behind, it's plays in the pockets, and then once they get in that danger, it's a fizz ball along the floor. The percentages is defender misses it, he scores an own goal or gives away a corner or a throw-in. There are the dinks you seen yesterday with Alonso into Abraham. Then you see again other goals that have been scored.
Great header.
Yeah, it's one of those that I don't know if it's the art. I think it's just the philosophy of the football team. But England's renowned back in the day, crosses, second balls, headers.
Big number 9s.
Yeah,
Bosh.
And it's changing a little bit. But I think for me, when you look at games in general, I like looking for the third man runner, the deep lying midfielder, whether it's one of the 10s or a holder, making the run in from behind and ghosting in, because you want to see more midfielders breaking in from midfield and scoring, goals.
Best of that was David Platt, wasn't it?
Platt.
Timing of the run.
Frank Lampard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really love watching him progress as a manager, even though it's really early, because even with Mason Mount, he's instilling values of him as a player and inside his players to believe in them, to let them go and be free. So, I'm really liking watching that.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about, I remember bumping into you at the World Cup in Russia before a Socceroos game. You came out on your own before the match and you just went and stood in front of the goal. I think we were in Sochi, I can't remember where we were, or Ruben Kazan's ground. You went there and you took a moment. What were you doing? What was going through your mind?
I think most athletes that play, even if you're going to play any Premier League game, it's nice to go out there and spend that moment and visualise where you're going to score and how you're going to score, and know that if the 18-yard box is bobbly, then I definitely want that ball in the air.
Yeah.
Where I want the cut back, how I want it played to me. And then, again, you're just thinking, I always visualise goals. I always visualised, the defender that I'm playing against is going to get tired at a certain point, or the deep-lying midfielder. So that day was all about how was I going to score in 4 consecutive World Cups. And if I did get my opportunity, I'd already did my analysis beforehand on the defenders, and I knew where I was going to score. It was going to be in the front post, in front of the left centre-back.
What a thing to be able to say. If I was going to score in 4 consecutive World Cups, you must be so proud of that.
Well, it didn't happen, but
no,
still,
but
very
the chance
proud.
to go for it,
Yeah.
Unbelievable, Tim.
I'm very proud because just getting to England to play for Millwall and learning my trade at 16 was probably the biggest dream of my life. And that's what set me up. And I think in my mind now, I'm doing that exact same path in my coaching development. Is starting in the apprenticeship level with the academy and really using TV as an analysis process to learn and understand the game at the top level, not only as a footballer, but now as a fan.
Do you look at other sports as well? Because I know you come from a real sporting family, and we're clearly not going to be talking about cricket because it's just not the time or the place. But could you have been a rugby player?
Well, obviously it couldn't have been a rugby player because...
Of course you could.
No, this physique, still 75, 76 kilos. Look, growing up, my mum's from Samoa, heavy culture in rugby, rugby union, rugby league. A lot of my cousins played here in the Super League also. In the NRL, played with my cousins. I had a big heart, and playing with them, I'd try and run through brick walls, but always be the kid crying at the end of the games, and I had to change the game. And I think it helped me mentally growing up with my cousins and always dusting yourself up and going again, because coming to England as a 16-year-old and understanding how difficult it was back there to come over, to earn a contract, to train twice a day, and to even just to be seen in training was a big thing for me. And that was probably one of the best things, but rugby is a big part of my upbringing, and learning their traits of respect, humbleness, and always, off the pitch, shaking hands after the battle on the pitch.
Well, those attributes, that heart and that generosity of spirit, were probably the core values that gave you such a fabulous football career. We're delighted for you. Thank you, mate.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
And we'll send our regards to the True 11 Reef, Phil Nev. See you next time for the next edition of Off the Script.